a very organic community of young women, just trying to navigate, the media world in that space, especially in the professional world. So I can't wait to talk to you all, and we'll get started with the questions. Okay, so first we're going to introduce our lovely panelists. So we have Jude, we have Brennan, and we have Crystal. So I'm going to take it away and also give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves as well when I start with the question. So this panel is called Women Breaking Barriers. So I feel like that goes hand in hand because as women, we're always breaking barriers, setting the standard, kind of like knocking down those doors. I'm going to go ahead and start with questions. So the first question is going to be directed to Crystal, who, if y'all don't know, she's a Philly legend, like legend in the event world in Philly. I mean, when I think events in Philly, personally, I think of her. I haven't really, no shade to anybody else, but I'm just giving her flowers right now. I've never heard of anyone else or seen them do a lot of things she does. Philly's a very niche space, so there's a lot of people, but when you do things in a certain manner, it puts you on a platform, and, she does things to perfection. And so the first question I want to ask to you, Crystal, is the event industry can be hard. It can be tough. It's very rigorous. So as a woman, how have you navigated that? And can you talk a little bit about just your experience and your journey getting to where you are today?
I'm Crystal Bailey. I'm an event producer. For me, it was a little interesting because I didn't start in events. I started actually in PR. That's what my undergrad degree is actually in. And what took place was my clients needed to host events as a part of their branding and doing the things that they were doing. And I started in fashion PR. So I was doing stuff for like Fashion Week and BET Ripped the Runway. And then Kiafa Vick was like one of my very first clients. They used to have like this boutique in Northern Liberties years ago when I was outside. So it was a designer at that time that was styling her, and they did like a full runway show in the Piazza. So what happened was my clients were needing events, and I was doing events for my clients. Never knew that event planning was even a career. One of my best friend's aunt was getting married, and she's like, "Well, you be doing events for your clients. You can do my wedding." And I was like, "Girl, I've never done a wedding a day in my life." She's like, "You're organized. You do detailed stuff. You could do my wedding." So I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna help her out because it's my best friend's aunt. She's like family." I did her wedding, and then people just started calling me like, "Can you do my wedding? Can you do?" I was like, "I am not an event planner." And then what happened was I was engaged and I had my daughter. And at the time I was also teaching. And I was like, well, which Kayla is my old student, by the way. So I'm super proud of her. And at the time I had to make a decision. And PR requires so much of your time, especially the field I was in, like fashion and music. You could be working 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. If they call you, you got to get up. And me being a new mom, it was like, you have to make a decision. And I did. And I was like, let me do some more research. Let me actually learn this industry. And I took the time to just learn the skill, invest. And I'm a risk taker. So I literally, on my 25th birthday, was like, I'm just leaving. I'm going to start the company. And I did. I don't recommend anybody do it like that now. Definitely plan. But there was a hope and a prayer. And it just worked. And then like a matter of 60 days, I had clients. I had opened up an event space, and things just kind of took off from there. But I just continued to like grow my brand, and say I do what I do. Even if I didn't do it, I would do the research on the back end, and I just continued to like invest in myself. I started finding out like who are the big names in this industry. I started following them on social media, connecting with them on social media, and then if they had a class, I took it. And I just would practice. I would go, I would buy the materials, I would set up in my own house. And then until I got it, and I'm already like OCD to details anyway, so I would just be in my house. I would rent chairs and tables in my house and just set up and practice until it was perfected. And then it just grew. I just continued to brand myself online. When I started, really wasn't social media present, so by me being in PR kind of helped. So people used to call me PR Crystal. So that's kind of how I got known. So then me pivoting was just the easy kind of open door because that career allowed for me to just kind of transition. But I was avid about like being the best at what I did. So no matter what it required, I just continued until I could grow. And when I got to one level, okay, how do I get to the next? And then I would figure out what's the open doors for that. What class do I need to take for that? Oh, okay, cool. 6 figures got there. Great. Now my goal is like, I need $1 million years. So my mentor is huge in the event industry. Like she works with Oprah and big names, bigger than the ones that I think are big. So it's just like, what do I need to do? And I invested. She was just my coach at first. And I'm like, well, I need you to be my mentor because I need you to teach me the rope to continue to grow. Because Philly is a very niche market. And I wanted to be bigger than Philadelphia. I wanted to work outside of Philadelphia. I randomly decided in the middle of the pandemic, I was opening an office in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta, shot a photo shoot, and it just so happened that the news media was shooting something else on the block. And they was like, oh, what do you do? I was like, oh, I'm a new event production company here in Atlanta. They was like, can we interview you? Sure. Mm-hmm. I flew my team down there, we shot, went, saw venues, staged an event out there and everything, and next thing you know, we had clients. So I usually I don't always go with a plan. Now I do. I'm 15 years in. But in the beginning, if I just wanted it, I'm going to say that's what I do until it happens. And I've always been a disruptor. So I'm just going to bust in the door and figure it out later. That's kind of how I got here.
I love that. And I mean, I can attest, I don't know if you even remember, but you did an event, I would say more like a staging experience in 2020. And I went with my line sister, Talaya, who was a mentee of yours.
That's my baby.
So I've witnessed it firsthand, your just business acumen and your attention to detail, and even just known people who've been mentees of you. So I think it's important. And I think that media is so multifaceted. Like you said, you started in PR. They all intersect. So I think it's amazing, like you said, just going from a risk and seeing how it blossomed. And I think that's a takeaway for everyone, no matter what industry you're in, that like, you have to almost do the uncomfortable thing. You almost have to do the crazy thing sometimes. Sometimes doing stuff that's just so comfortable and feels so safe doesn't always get you, the type of experience out of it. So thank you for that. And just before we move on, can you talk about any barrier you faced and how you've overcome that barrier in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, even to that notion, when you said you came with Talia. So for me, one, I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. In my industry, when you think event production, a lot of Philly here is like decorators and things of that nature. But to be in event production is a very male-dominated industry. Like they're huge powerhouses. And this is what you see for like Super Bowls and concerts and things develop. That's what I do. So I'm probably the only Black female that actually does these large-scale event productions. So for me, it is also very, I don't want to say clicked, but it's who you know, and they've been doing this for decades. So I'm coming in young, I'm coming in as a fresh face, and they're kind of like, who are you? So for me, it was, I'm going to create what I don't see until they see me. Sometimes I'm not waiting for the opportunity to come. I'm going to create it. So that's kind of how I blew up. If I don't see it and I want to do it, I'm going to curate it myself first and then let them come to me. And then that's kind of what has transitioned my career. So if I see a roadblock, then what do I need to do to kind of navigate my way around the roadblock? Because if not, I'll be waiting forever for them to acknowledge me. And I teach that to my mentees, like they don't know you. So when you're trying to break into an industry, you have to put yourself out there or else you'll be constantly fighting for space. So I'm a believer in create the space, they will see you. So if they don't have it, I'm going to create it. So that's what I started. I started developing these curated small spaces. I would curate a full event that is staged. It's not real. I will shoot it like it's real, invite everybody I know to attend. Now it looks like 150 guests in here. And then you have a full-fledged production. And every time I want to go to a new level, that's what I did. And then if all the people who want to learn what I already did, I invite them down. They can come learn hands-on as I'm building to the next level, live right there in the moment in the space. I did it for my 10-year anniversary, and I think that's the one she was at. And it was also my 35th birthday party, where we totally transformed the space. And people was like, what was that? I was like, oh, it was just our anniversary and our birthday party. And then I just went online and was like, I'm opening the doors for, I think it was like 6 girls who want to come down and learn on the spot. Come. So I think sometimes we're looking for people to let us in rooms that we get frustrated when we can't get in the room. No, create your own room. I promise you they will see you because they want to know who has the balls to come and do this and we don't know who you are. And I think that sometimes it's scary, but you'll be surprised the people in the eyes that are on you when you take those type of bold risks. And that's why we're here too. You're here to disrupt. I'm cool with shaking the table. And then I'll bring everybody else behind me that looks like me. Because 9 times out of 10, people of color are not in those rooms. So I'll continue to shake the table for every time there's a woman or someone of color to come right behind me. Every time.
Period. So speaking of people of color not being in those rooms, I want to switch industries a little bit. So we're going to bring the conversation over to Brennan, who is a travel influencer. So if anybody's on TikTok, you know, influencers in general, just unfortunately, for people of color, we create trends, we lead certain things, but then, you know, we don't kind of get highlighted, or we're not allowed the same platform as our counterparts. So I want to talk about how your journey and experience has been being a travel influencer. I know you said you're going to your 45th country
45th,
soon.
yeah.
So that's super exciting. So let's hear about that and just any barriers you face just being a travel influencer and what that experience is like.
Well, okay, so before I became a travel influencer, I was a makeup artist for many years. So that's how most people know me in Philly. I was able to kind of transition from makeup into travel because I kind of already had a following on Instagram. What I quickly learned about the travel industry is it is very similar to the beauty industry, where there is a stereotypical look of what a travel influencer looks like, sounds like, acts like, how they dress, what they wear. And that was never what travel was about for me. For me, travel is about experiencing new cultures, expanding my mind, learning about the world outside of the world I know immediately here in America or in a Black community or in just our Philadelphia community. So there's always challenges with considering myself to be a travel influencer or how people view me as a travel influencer because in certain molds I don't fit. And because that's not what I'm here for, I do want to influence people to travel, but I want to influence them for the right reasons. And it's not the fashion aspect or how aesthetic the pictures look. It's for all of us to just get out there and really experience the world because we just have our one life to do that. And there's so much living outside of what we know here. So really with most things, most challenges, is a lot of it is mental. You know, you have so much pushing against you, like you don't fit this mold, or you're not skinny enough, or you're not white enough, or you're not rich enough. And you just have to fight against that and just keep pushing forward for your goal. My goal is to see the world and to bring people along with me. And as much pushback as I get from male-dominated spaces, from resorts, and people not wanting to bargain with me because I'm a woman and a Black woman and a young Black woman, there's something I learned. I've spent some years working at MAC too, and it's called show and teach. And that is kind of like being the authority in your position. So I'm going to show you, and while I'm showing you, I'm teaching you. And I carry that mindset into a lot of spaces where people give me pushback. Like, I'm going to show you that I'm going to keep going and I'm going to teach you. And you're going to learn that because you're going to watch me continue to do what I said I was going to do, to book the hotel I want to be booked at. And you're going to give me the price I want because I'm going to teach you that I'm not going to be ignored or broken by, you know, just the mistreatment because I'm a woman or a Black woman or what, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not popular enough, whatever the case may be. Those challenges will always be there. And it ultimately comes down to your mindset. You can just settle and let it push you down, or you could just say, like, F that. Even if I don't know what the end result's going to be, I'm still going to try it because I'd rather try and fail than just sit and be like, damn, I really wish I would have, you know, given it a better go and maybe something else would have happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. And this panel is called the Women Breaking Barriers panel for a reason. So I love the diversity in all of you's just backgrounds, beauty, event production, travel, and now we're gonna go over to Jude, who is in politics, and she wears many hats, from being a state advocate for the state of Pennsylvania and a TEDx speaker. So I wanna, just on the topic of male-dominated fields and breaking barriers in your own field, like, what's your experience been like in politics, and how have you navigated that space?
Yeah, can I grab it? Thank you. Politics is so interesting to me because I don't, tell you guys a story. On my first day in Harrisburg, I walked in
And it was like a whole new world, right? So my thing is I have to say good morning to people. I'm walking in, I'm saying good morning, and no one is responding back to me. Not a single person in 10 people. And so my colleague, she was like, Jude, I'm like, yeah, what's up? She's like, we don't do that here. I'm like, do what? She's like, oh, we just don't, do that. And so I always found it very interesting stepping into the spaces. One, I'm always the only person of color in certain rooms. Two, I'm definitely the only person of Arab descent, so I'm Palestinian. I'm the only Arab in the General Assembly of Pennsylvania and city politics. And so it's always very interesting stepping into those spaces because people are always trying to figure out who I am and what I am. As it relates to it being a male-dominated field, there are certain things that I used to do, right? Like I always used to wear heels at all times. I'm wearing heels for y'all because I really love y'all, right? But now I wear kicks. And I wear like kicks with suits, and I've switched up, having to look a certain way. I would always blow out my hair. Again, I blowed out my hair today because I really love y'all. But I'll wear my hair out natural. It took a lot of time getting to that point to being able to wear my hair natural, right? And that's just because, having to fit the certain look. And so you guys would have seen me like bobbing my head like a bobblehead when these two ladies were speaking, because it's like, yeah, like it is the mindset, right? Like if this is who we think looks like this in politics, that's what we'll always see. If this is who we think looks like, creates